Ethan Vance sat alone in his office. He stared blankly at the wall. A moment later, a man entered without knocking. He wore gold-rimmed glasses. He sat on the sofa and crossed his legs. He studied Ethan with a cool gaze. Ethan managed a faint smile. He asked why the man had come. The man simply observed Ethan's disheveled look. He wondered if this was a silent protest. Ethan just shrugged his shoulders. He explained it was his way of resigning. He was done with their business world. He intended to return to his research. The recent merger required his full attention. Both families wanted him to lead the Apex Capital investment. He had agreed to the request. He had dressed like a corporate executive. He forced himself into meetings he despised. Now he was tired of the charade. He wanted the quiet solitude of his lab. The man listened without changing his expression. He said that he would take over the duties. Ethan turned his head sharply. He asked if they could stop the endless fighting. He felt their family had lost enough already. It was time to quit while they were ahead. The man questioned his sudden family loyalty. Ethan fell silent for a moment. The man reminded Ethan of their relationship. He was, after all, his uncle. Ethan gave a cold, humorless laugh. He told him not to use seniority against him. They were nearly the same age. The man, Julian Croft, remained impassive. His expression was consistently neutral. His eyes were cold and devoid of emotion. He resembled an advanced android. Julian explained the situation one more time. He stated that business was a battlefield. One step back meant the enemy advanced 10. He claimed that compromise led to destruction. He looked directly at Ethan. He acknowledged Ethan's guilt over his brother. Julian stated he felt no such thing. He believed the Vance family owed them. Ethan had no response to this. Julian suggested Ethan misunderstood his brother. He told him Adrian was not a passive victim. He had achieved every one of his goals. He told Ethan to stop being so naive. Adrian wanted far more than he could imagine. Adrian Vance was taking a rare break. He usually optimized every minute of his day. But today he held a tablet. He was not reading financial reports. He was finishing a trashy romance novel. The plot could be summarized in one line. It was the billionaire CEO fell for me. He grimaced at the cheesy dialogue. But he could not stop reading. He admitted the story was strangely compelling. Adrian wondered if such tactics actually worked. You have successfully captured my attention. Woman, you are playing with fire. You are damnably sweet. I would give my life for you. Adrian took several deep breaths. He worried he might punch something. He shifted his gaze to the window. He tried to rest his eyes and mind. After a moment, he returned to the tablet. So strange, yet he had to see what happened. His assistant Sam Collins knocked on the door. Adrian put the tablet down. He straightened his tie and told him to enter. He asked what the matter was. Sam noticed nothing out of the ordinary. He reported that the bad assets were consolidated. Apex Capital's backing was helping. They were converting debt into equity shares. He was ready to submit a formal report. Adrian nodded in agreement. He told Sam to proceed with the report. He then noted their promise to Apex. Failing to meet profit goals would be disastrous. Apex did not invest out of charity. If profits did not meet expectations, things would change. Sam sighed at the reminder. He said their core renewable energy sector was strong. Acquiring new production lines was a bonus. However, the old business lines were a problem. Their company knew power cells, not consumer electronics. They were pouring money into a dying division. It was not a sustainable long-term plan. Sam suggested they start fresh with market research. Adrian did not respond immediately. He fell deep into thought. Reviving that market would be a massive undertaking. He asked if the effort was worth it. Sam did not have an answer for him. The initial investment would be huge. The final outcome was anyone's guess. The previous company had gone bankrupt selling them. Adrian finally told him to just write the report. Sam agreed and moved to the next topic. He noted Ethan Vance seemed withdrawn lately. Ethan was Apex Capital's representative. He seemed to have retreated to the R&D center. He had missed the last integration meeting. Adrian explained his brother's actions. He said they were a gesture of goodwill. It was a sign of trust between them. The word goodwill sounded foreign. It did not seem to fit the Vance brothers. Sam had never seen them speak in public. Yet Adrian seemed to accept this truce. Sam worried about who would replace Ethan. He voiced his concern about others taking over. He mentioned certain members of the Croft family. Adrian told him to be specific. He stated it would undoubtedly be Julian Croft. Sam's face soured instantly. He asked if it had to be him. Surely someone else could handle it. Adrian said no one else was suitable. Julian was Ethan's maternal uncle. He was the executive director of Apex Capital. He was older in status but not in age. He and Ethan had been raised together. They were closer than actual brothers. Sam lamented another difficult personality entering the fray. He wanted to change the subject. He told Adrian he would go write the report, but Adrian stopped him before he left. Sam asked what else was needed. Adrian cleared his throat. He asked if Sam was currently single. Sam was still in work mode. He answered yes with some confusion. Adrian immediately showed a look of disdain. Sam was speechless for a moment. Adrian himself was famously single. He had no right to judge him. Sam puffed out his chest proudly. He announced he'd had several girlfriends. Adrian simply called him a player. Sam insisted they were all amicable breakups. Adrian considered this for a moment. He decided Sam's experience was sufficient. He asked how he had won them over. Sam's eyes lit up at the question. He asked who Adrian was interested in. Adrian told him coldly to answer the question. He warned him to stop talking nonsense. Sam thought hell must be freezing over. The CEO wanted to date someone. He decided to share his wisdom. He said being genuine was the key. He advised Adrian to be kind and attentive. A woman would sense his good intentions. If she did not reject him, she was interested. Adrian sank into contemplation. Leo Miller did not seem to reject him. Sam continued, sensing he had Adrian's attention. He warned against staying in limbo for too long. He stressed that a formal confession was necessary. A relationship needed a clear starting point. Adrian's fingers tapped on his desk. He suddenly told Sam he could leave. Sam felt like a tool used and discarded. He turned to go. A knock sounded at the door. Leo Miller entered the office. He smiled at Adrian and Sam. He apologized for the interruption. He then addressed Adrian directly. A supplier had sent a last-minute invitation. It was for an exclusive industry salon. He hoped Adrian could attend. Adrian thought for a moment. He said he would not go. He told Leo to attend in his place. Leo was accustomed to such tasks. He agreed immediately and left the room. Sam looked at Adrian with surprise. He observed that Leo was doing a lot of field work. He asked if Leo was a secretary or a salesman. Adrian just looked at him without a word. He wanted Leo to gain more exposure. It was good for building a network. He did not want Leo to be just a secretary. He had been secretly training him. But Adrian's own feelings had become complicated. He wanted Leo by his side. He also wanted him to succeed on his own. He worried that a confession would scare him. Sam saw Adrian lost in thought. He knew his boss was falling in love. He just did not know with whom. Leo went to the salon as instructed. It was held in a high-end private club. It was less a salon and more a gathering. A few powerful men met for drinks. Leo arrived and conveyed Adrian's apologies. He presented the carefully selected gifts. He knew each executive's preferences by heart. He handled these situations with ease. The host praised his growing competence. He recalled Leo's clumsy first meeting. Now he was remarkably polished. Leo thought about the minor cinnamon mistake. The man had mentioned it for over a year. He politely cred Adrian for his training. Leo was a familiar face in these circles. Another executive joked about his absence. He commented on Leo's excellent skills and appearance. Business often involved such comments. Adrian was usually there to defend him. Leo had learned how to handle it. He said looks fade with time, but ability only grows stronger. He smiled and said he preferred ability. It would serve him better in old age. The executives all laughed. The atmosphere became relaxed and friendly. Leo networked efficiently and prepared to leave. He could not linger like the executives. As he was leaving, a man stopped him. The man politely said his employer wanted a word. The tone was polite, but the request was not. Leo wondered who this employer was. He knew better than to offend anyone here. Still, he was cautious with strangers. He asked for the gentleman's name. The man said his employer was Mr. Croft. A chill went down Leo's spine. He followed the man to a private suite. A single man sat on the sofa. He had long legs and a cold expression. His glasses framed his sharp features. He was now studying Leo through them. Leo put on a professional smile. He politely greeted Mr. Croft. The man noted Leo's lack of surprise. He observed that Leo knew who he was. Leo's smile remained. He said everyone knew of Julian Croft. This was Ethan Vance's uncle. He was the youngest son of the Croft family. He was the true power behind Apex Capital. Leo had seen him twice before. Once, in the chairman's office during a crisis. The other time, they passed in a hallway. Julian's presence was unforgettable. Leo had easily deduced his identity. He had researched the Croft family afterward. He never thought Julian would seek him out. Julian continued his silent assessment of Leo. He then said that he also knew Leo. This Mr. Croft had an aura like Adrian's. He was arrogant and intensely focused, but he had even less warmth than Adrian. His gaze was sharp and analytical, felt like being scanned by a machine. Leo tried to remain polite. He said he was honored by the attention. Julian began to speak. Leo Miller, 25 years old. He listed Leo's parents' professions. He named his university and first job. He recounted his transfer to Adrian's office. Leo's eyes widened slightly. He wondered how Julian knew so much. His resume was not a state secret. But why would a man of Julian's stature investigate him? He wondered about the meaning behind this. He asked why Julian was so interested. Julian said he was not finished yet. He stated Leo became Adrian's lover. They had been in a secret relationship. He noted that only the Vance family knew. He then added a chilling detail. He knew Leo's parents had recently visited. He knew they had met Adrian. Leo could not speak. The man even knew about his parents' visit. He felt like prey being watched by a hunter. Julian's expression never changed. He asked if their company had rules. Did it prohibit relationships between colleagues? Leo took a moment to recover. He explained that it was discouraged, but it was not strictly forbidden. He said dating was a personal right. The company would only intervene if it affected work. Leo looked at Julian with resolve. He stated his relationship with Adrian was harmless. It had not impacted the company's performance. He felt it should not be criticized. His attitude was calm and professional. He was not intimidated by Julian's status. But Julian was not convinced. He suggested the company's policies were flawed. It was an accusation disguised as a comment. Leo realized Julian was looking for trouble. He stated this was a private matter. He said it had nothing to do with Mr. Croft. His smile was still there, but his tone hardened. Julian was not annoyed by his response. He kept his cool demeanor. He asked if their relationship was a performance. Was it all for the chairman's benefit? Leo's smile vanished completely. He called Julian's speculation malicious. Julian disagreed, claiming it was a factual analysis. The chairman was soft on his gay son. Ethan felt guilty about his brother. Leo and Adrian were the ultimate beneficiaries. Leo looked at him in disbelief. He asked if Julian only saw profit. Julian actually nodded in agreement. Leo's face became as blank as Julian's. He said they had nothing more to discuss. He worried Julian had seen through their contract. Julian then said that all relationships involve interests. Even marriages are based on them. Leo secretly sighed with relief. Julian did not know they were faking. He asked why Julian had summoned him. He doubted it was for a philosophical debate. Julian nodded again. He said he wanted to see Leo for himself. He found him more interesting than he expected. He had been curious about the secretary. This meeting only confirmed his suspicions. Leo was suddenly very tired of the games. He told Julian he should be leaving. Julian did not stop him this time. Leo stood up and walked to the door. Julian remained on the sofa, unreadable. He was like a precision instrument. Just before Leo left, Julian spoke. He said it was a pity. Their positions were naturally opposed. Leo did not respond. He pretended he did not hear. Leo felt a knot in his stomach at home. Julian was the first to see the cracks. They did not even know each other. Yet he had deduced almost everything. Leo ate a quick dinner. He sat on his bed, looking at the doll. It was a caricature of Adrian. He decided to message his boss. He told Adrian he had met Julian Croft. The message was barely sent. A video call request popped up. Leo jumped off the bed. He moved to the living room. He fixed his posture before accepting. Adrian was on a treadmill in his home gym. He was talking while running. His voice was slightly breathless and raspy, carried a certain intensity. Leo avoided looking at his sweaty neck. He suggested Adrian take a break. Adrian stopped the machine. He sat on a weight bench. He asked what had happened. Leo briefly recounted the meeting. He omitted some of the more pointed comments. He instinctively felt Adrian would be angry. Adrian's mood soured when he heard. He was furious Julian had investigated Leo. He called him a nobody with too much nerve. Leo asked what kind of person Julian was. Adrian's face was stern. He finally said Julian was not a person. He was a machine. Leo had felt the same way. Julian was like a cold calculator. He was driven by logic, not emotion. But hearing Adrian say it was still shocking. Julian was the youngest of his generation. He was raised by Ethan's mother. After she died, he became an orphan. Adrian paused, then offered an assessment. He called Julian a formidable character. He had fought his way to the top. He had seized control of Apex Capital. This proved his skill and his ruthlessness. He cared for nothing but power and profit. Leo listened in silence. He still did not understand one thing. He asked why Julian would target him. Adrian said whatever the reason, it was not good. Leo then asked about their partnership. He thought they were working with Apex. He did not understand Julian's hostility. Adrian remained silent. Julian had likely seen through his plans. Adrian wanted a larger piece of the pie. Julian was the main obstacle. This served as a for him. He just told Leo to call him next time. Leo nodded obediently. Adrian saw his compliant expression. He felt a familiar stirring. He wiped the sweat from his face. He cleared his throat and asked a question. He wanted to know if Leo felt averse. Was he uncomfortable being with him? Leo was still thinking about Julian. He answered without thinking. He said of course not. Adrian paid him double for it. Leo sighed, continuing his thought. He was glad they had a contract. He said office romances were a bad idea. It was too easy to mix business and pleasure. His extra salary made it all work. A real relationship would be too complicated. He would be accused of using his boss. Adrian suddenly said his name. Leo Miller. Leo was startled out of his thoughts. He asked what was wrong. Adrian said he was ungrateful. He took the money but never said nice things. He only ever managed to annoy him. With that, he abruptly ended the video call. Leo stared at his phone, confused. He wondered what he had said wrong. It had been a while since Adrian was so moody. Perhaps Julian's appearance had upset him. Leo found an excuse for his boss's behavior. He went back to his bedroom. As Sam had worried, Ethan made his announcement. The merger transition was complete. Apex Capital would now handle all affairs. He was returning to his research center. Adrian had prepared for this development. He continued business as usual. He made no major adjustments. Leo saw Adrian's calm demeanor. He did not worry about the change. But Adrian called him into his office. He told Leo to get ready. Leo was confused. He asked what he should prepare for. Adrian looked at him for a moment. He said the chairman wanted him for dinner, and he was told to bring Leo along. A jolt went through Leo. He asked why it was so sudden. Marcus Vance's attitude toward him was cold. He disliked his son's relationship, but he also felt it was a safe one. This contradiction made him avoid them, so a sudden dinner invitation was suspicious. Leo worried it was a trap. Adrian reassured him it was not. He said it was just a simple family dinner. Julian Croft would also be there. The chairman wanted them to get along. Apex was now a major shareholder. Marcus wanted Adrian and Julian to cooperate. Perhaps he worried Adrian would be difficult. He thought Leo's presence might pacify him. Leo understood the logic. He relaxed, but then tensed up again. A dinner at the Vance home was a challenge. Adrian told him not to worry. It would just be a few familiar faces. He listed the chairman and his wife. He mentioned Ethan and Julian. They were familiar, but none were easy. Leo's stomach was already in knots. Double pay came with double the trouble. He had to earn his salary. He dutifully asked what he needed to do. Adrian looked him up and down. A strange expression crossed his face. He told him to dress up. For a while, Adrian had criticized Leo's style. Leo had been defensive at the time. He thought his clothes were neat and clean. Now he understood Adrian was right. A secretary's image reflects the CEO's. His clothes had to match his status. A man's suit spoke volumes about him. Leo had started investing in his wardrobe. Adrian had stopped his critical comments. Leo wondered what dress-up meant for this. He was thinking about buying a new suit, but Adrian had already made arrangements. He took Leo to a bespoke tailor. A designer measured Leo for custom clothes. Adrian leaned back on a sofa. He watched the measuring tape on Leo. It moved over his shoulders, chest, and hips. He watched with an intense, undisguised gaze. Even the designer seemed nervous. Leo was oblivious to the scrutiny. He lifted his arms to help. The movement accentuated his slim waist. Adrian's eyes followed the tape. He suggested they order several outfits. Leo turned and looked at Adrian. He said that was not necessary. He asked what he would do with them all. His turn stretched the curve of his back. Adrian coughed lightly. He told him not to argue. He said it was his pleasure. Leo did not understand Adrian's pleasure. Only Adrian knew the joy of dressing him up. Leo remembered a similar incident long ago. Adrian had made him try on countless clothes. He pressed his lips together. He shot a look at Adrian. It was a look of mild complaint. It also held a hint of indulgence. His gentle eyes curved up at the corners. It was a subtle, captivating expression. A flicker of desire stirred in Adrian. He told Leo he needed his cooperation. Leo asked what he had to do this time. Adrian lounged on the sofa. He said in a casual tone to put on a show. They had to act like they were in love. The day of the dinner arrived. Adrian's car came to pick Leo up. Leo sat nervously beside his boss. He wore a soft camel sweater. A collarless jacket was layered over it. The tailoring fit his body perfectly. It was simple, elegant, and understated. The fine fabric enhanced his natural grace. He looked like a young prince. Adrian admired Leo's appearance. He had chosen the outfit himself. He was very satisfied with the result. He reached out his hand toward Leo. Leo looked at him, confused. He asked what was wrong. Adrian simply said, "Showtime." Leo glanced out the window. He asked if they had to start now. They had not even arrived yet. Adrian said of course they had to. He explained that practice makes perfect. Leo thought they had practiced enough. But he obediently placed his hand in Adrian's. They held hands across the center console. It surprisingly eased some of Leo's tension. The car soon arrived at the Vance estate. The house was in a traditional wealthy enclave. It was only 3 stories tall. The design was classic and understated. It had a wide courtyard and red-tiled roof. The house exuded a sense of quiet luxury. Property here was priceless. Only the truly elite could own a home here. The Vance family was not old money. Julian's mother had helped Marcus buy it. The area's value had since skyrocketed. It was now a symbol of immense status. Leo thought about the strange situation. Marcus lived here with his second wife. He was hosting his former brother-in-law. He was also hosting his second wife's son. He had no sense of boundaries. Leo followed Adrian inside. The suppressed nervousness returned. He carefully watched his step. High-paying side jobs required guts. Adrian slowed his pace. He placed a hand on Leo's back. He leaned in and whispered. He told Leo not to worry. He said, "I'm here." The president was always like this. He would intimidate him one moment. He would protect him the next. Leo knew Adrian meant what he said. A sense of security replaced his anxiety. He smiled at Adrian. They entered the house. Diane Vance was waiting for them. She smiled when she saw Leo. She said he was looking handsome. She welcomed him inside warmly. Her hospitality was unusual. It made Leo feel a bit overwhelmed. He realized she probably always wore a mask. He handed her a prepared gift. He politely thanked her for the invitation. She accepted it graciously. They walked into the living room. Marcus Vance stood there. His expression was cool and distant. Leo greeted him politely. He only received a curt nod in return. Adrian and Leo were the first to arrive. They sat on the sofa. Diane made small talk with Leo. Marcus remained silent. Adrian leaned back against a cushion. He idly played with Leo's fingers. Leo's back was ramrod straight. He tried to focus on Diane's chatter. But Adrian's touch was distracting. He gently squeezed the spaces between his fingers. He traced them with his nail. It sent a shiver through Leo. He finally shot Adrian a glance. Adrian remained impassive. He continued to use Leo's hand as a toy. Marcus suddenly cleared his throat. Leo quickly pulled his hand back. His ears turned red. Adrian looked bored and took out his phone. Fortunately, the others arrived soon after. Julian and Ethan came together. They walked side by side. An air of familiarity was between them. Ethan was not wearing his usual black-framed glasses. He looked neat and scholarly. Julian was as cold and controlled as ever. The two men looked more like brothers. They had very different personalities. Ethan greeted his father and stepmother. He avoided eye contact with Adrian. Julian's gaze immediately fell on Leo. Adrian frowned and sat up straighter. He subtly shielded Leo from Julian's view. The Vance family members were excellent actors. They managed a peaceful facade. They accepted Leo's presence at the table. This gathering was a miracle in itself. Diane announced it was time for dinner. The dining room was opulent but tasteful. Every detail spoke of quiet wealth. The seating was arranged by seniority. Julian, as the guest of honor, sat beside Marcus. Adrian and Leo were at the far end. Leo found it strange. Adrian was always at the head of the table. 2 sets of cutlery were at each place. This was to accommodate Adrian's germophobia. The food was exquisite. A private chef had clearly prepared it. But Leo had no appetite. Adrian did not want food from far away. He occasionally placed items on Leo's plate. Leo quietly told him to eat more himself. The dinner conversation started. Diane initiated most of the topics. She asked about everyone's health. She discussed current events. Leo knew his place. He only spoke when spoken to. The small talk eventually ended. Marcus turned to Adrian. He asked about the company's recent performance. Adrian replied calmly. He said the quarterly reports were submitted. He asked if the chairman had read them. Leo silently praised his boss's nerve. He had provoked his father with the first sentence. Marcus's face darkened immediately. He accused Adrian of being ungrateful. Leo decided to intervene. He patted Adrian's hand. He then addressed Marcus. He explained Adrian had been very busy. He said the company was now stabilizing. The implication was clear. Adrian was tired and irritable, but the business was doing well. Marcus's expression softened slightly. He grumbled about his son's manners. Adrian's face was cold. He said Leo's status was not just a secretary. He had brought him here for a reason. Marcus had always ignored Leo. Today was no exception. He had only invited Leo to control Adrian. The idea of Leo being family was absurd. Marcus's face turned grim at Adrian's words. At that moment, Ethan spoke. He asked Leo about a former classmate. The young man now worked at Adrian's company. Leo knew Ethan was creating a diversion. He was trying to defuse the tension. He was grateful for the intervention. He smiled at Ethan. He said the man was doing well. Everyone in the department liked him. Ethan smiled and said he was glad. He asked them to take good care of him. Before Leo could reply, Adrian spoke. He said the man was well compensated. He had a top salary and creative freedom. He had an entire team at his disposal. Ethan was surprised Adrian had joined in. The brothers rarely spoke to each other. Even this brief exchange surprised Marcus. The dinner's main purpose was building bridges. Marcus turned the conversation to Julian. He said the company's stability was good. It was a good return for Apex's investment. Leo found the comment condescending. Adrian immediately fired back. He said they had not asked for a handout. He told him not to sugarcoat the takeover. Marcus finally lost his temper. He shouted at Adrian to be quiet. Julian calmly set down his utensils. He found the family drama tedious. He looked at Adrian. He asked about the old business divisions. Adrian paused before answering. He said no final decision had been made. They were maintaining the status quo. Julian pointed out this required significant capital. Adrian said Apex had agreed not to interfere. He stated it was their decision to make. Julian countered that it was a shareholder concern. It involved the security of their investment. The two men began to debate at the table. Their tone was deceptively calm. It was more of a negotiation than a discussion. Adrian was no longer a rebellious son. He was a confident, poised executive. He even had time to give Leo more food. Julian kept his eyes lowered. His glasses hid his expression. Their conversation was concise and efficient. Marcus could not even get a word in. He watched the two young men. The dinner table had become a boardroom. He felt a sense of unease. Julian clearly saw Adrian as his equal. He completely ignored the chairman. Marcus wondered if he was truly getting old. Leo looked down at his own plate. It was piled high with food. He could not eat another bite. But Adrian kept adding more. He finally had to speak up. He told Adrian it was enough. His voice was soft. It unintentionally sounded like a complaint. It stopped the two men's conversation. Leo quickly apologized. He told them to continue. Adrian saw his overflowing plate. He used his chopsticks to move some food back. The action was shockingly natural. He said Leo should not eat too much. He teased him about gaining weight. Leo glared at him. Ethan watched them with amusement. Adrian was eating from someone else's plate. His notorious germophobia was gone. Watching them was more interesting than business talk. Diane chose that moment to intervene. She told them to save business for the boardroom. She turned to Julian with a smile. She commented on her chef skills. She encouraged Julian to eat more. Her words were a subtle assertion of her status. Julian, the emotionless machine, remained polite. He ate in silence, elegant and detached. The meal finally drew to a close. Marcus felt it was a partial success. Adrian and Julian were not friends, but they were capable of communication. However, he had been sidelined. Even the secretary had more presence than him. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Fruit and tea were served. Leo found an opportunity to excuse himself. He went to the restroom. When he came out, he ran into Adrian. He was waiting in the hallway. Leo smiled and teased him. He asked if they were schoolboys. Did they need to use the restroom together? Adrian said nothing. He simply pulled Leo into his arms. The embrace was warm and familiar. Leo rested his head on Adrian's shoulder. He sensed something was wrong. He asked what the matter was. Adrian's deep voice was by his ear. He apologized for putting Leo through this. Leo thought for a moment. He raised his hands to Adrian's back. He gently said he was fine. He had not expected a warm welcome. The reality was better than he imagined. But Adrian was the family rebel. This dinner showed the pressure he was under. Leo gently patted his back. He softened his voice. He was glad he came. He could be there to support him. Adrian buried his face in Leo's hair. He slowly moved his head down. Leo tilted his neck in response. Their cheeks were pressed together. A slight turn would lead to a kiss. Leo felt Adrian's warmth. He did not dare to move. Adrian's lips brushed against his skin. He suddenly asked a question. "Why do you let me get so close?" Leo was startled by the question. He did not understand what he meant. "You don't push me away," Adrian stated. It was a fact, not a question. Leo blinked in confusion. He said he was cooperating. They had a contract after all. He was just being professional. He always did what Adrian asked. But Adrian was not listening. He said not pushing away was an invitation. If Leo kept allowing it, he would push further. His lips moved from Leo's cheek. They neared the tip of his nose. They were inches from his mouth. Leo held his breath. Adrian stopped. He remembered Sam's advice. A formal confession was necessary. They held each other in the quiet hallway. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Leo jumped back from Adrian's embrace. He turned to see Julian standing there. He was watching them through his glasses. Leo was shocked to see him. Most people would have politely looked away. Julian seemed to be studying them intently. Leo's face turned red. He worried about what Julian had heard. He replayed their words in his mind. He had only mentioned the contract. A stranger would not understand its meaning. The three of them stood in silence. Only Leo felt the awkwardness. Adrian glared at Julian. His lips were a thin, hard line. Julian's expression was unreadable. That feeling of being scanned returned. Leo tugged on Adrian's sleeve. He whispered that they should go. Adrian took his hand in a firm grip. Julian finally spoke to Adrian. He said they would continue their talk later. Adrian gave a cold reply. He would be ready anytime. Leo noticed their shared coldness. Adrian's was like sharp, aggressive ice. Julian's was like the empty void of space. Julian looked at Leo one last time. He told Adrian to bring him next time. Adrian's expression grew even darker. Julian then turned and walked away calmly. Leo watched his retreating back. Adrian led him back to the living room. They saw Julian announcing his departure. Soon, everyone else began to leave. Ethan said he had to check on an experiment. Adrian had his driver take Leo home first. He was unusually silent during the ride. Leo knew he was in a bad mood. He did not dare to disturb him. When they reached Leo's building, Adrian spoke. He said his emotions had been out of control. He apologized if he had scared Leo. Leo quickly shook his head. He told Adrian not to overthink it. Adrian seemed to have regained his composure. He told Leo to rest well. As Leo got out of the car, Adrian spoke again. He told him not to mind what he said tonight. Leo gave a vague response and left. He watched the car disappear into the night. He walked slowly toward his apartment. How could he not mind? He had never heard Adrian speak like that. It was a voice full of restrained desire. Adrian had said he wanted to push further. The autumn wind was cool, but it could not cool the heat on Leo's face. He hurried back to his apartment. He carefully took off his expensive clothes. He put them in a garment bag. He hung it next to Adrian's other coat. He looked at the large black coat. It reminded him of the man's strong frame. He recalled the intense embrace in the hallway. He quickly closed the closet door. He showered and dried his hair. He lay down on his bed. He took the Adrian doll from the shelf. He held it in his arms. He hoped it would help him think clearly. He tossed and turned for a long time. Adrian said he indulged his advances. He said he did not reject him. Leo had tried to explain it with the contract, but he realized it was true. He had never once refused Adrian. Even an actor has roles he dislikes. Why did he never feel repulsed by another man? And no one in their families had questioned them. They had believed their story without doubt. Leo had thought it was due to their good acting. Now he was not so sure. Was he really just acting? He wondered what others saw. What did people who did not know think? Most of their family believed they were a couple. Their friend circles did not overlap. Only their colleagues saw them as boss and subordinate. They were very discreet at the office. No one had ever suspected anything. He felt he could announce their engagement now. His colleagues would think it was a joke. He could not think of anyone to ask. He squeezed the doll in his hands. He suddenly jumped out of bed. He had thought of someone. He found his old classmate's number. He had once clarified things with her. He told her he and Adrian were not a couple. That was before their contract. He did not want her to misunderstand. She had since seen them together multiple times. He sent her a quick message. She replied almost instantly. She asked what was up. She assumed he was asking about an old rival. She told him all the latest gossip. Leo was not interested in the man's downfall. He found a gap in her excited typing. He asked his question. "What do you think of me and my boss?" The stream of messages stopped. She did not reply for a long time. Leo worried he had been too blunt. He rephrased the question. "I mean, what do you think when you see us?" After a moment, she replied cautiously. "Can I be honest?" Leo told her of course. Her words then came in a rush. She said she secretly shipped them. She knew he had denied it, but their chemistry was undeniable. It was better than any fictional couple. She had been afraid to say anything. She said Adrian looked at him differently. He was harsh but also very protective. There was more she did not say. She had seen Adrian's jealousy. She had seen his disdain for other suitors. She wanted to scream. If this isn't love. Leo thought she was exaggerating. Adrian was protective of all his staff. She then asked him directly, "So, are you two together or not?" Leo hesitated before replying, "No." She noticed the hesitation this time. She tentatively suggested he consider it. Leo asked what there was to consider. She typed back with frustration. "Your boss, of course. He's handsome and rich. And he's so good to you." Leo was taken aback by her suggestion. He said Adrian was his boss. She dismissed his concern. There was no law against dating your boss. She urged him to give it a try. Leo stared at his phone, frozen. He had never considered that possibility. The word boss was a mountain in his mind. It was an insurmountable barrier. He abruptly said goodnight and ended the chat. He could not sleep. He thought about the dinner and his friend's words. The impossible possibility stormed his mind. It shattered his defenses. He could only see Adrian's face. He saw him in the hallway, leaning in closer. Leo jumped out of bed again. He realized Adrian had been about to kiss him. That was what he meant by pushing further. He grabbed the doll from his bed. He stuffed it under his blanket. He growled at it playfully. "Who said you could kiss me? You're grounded." Leo was exhausted the next day, but he arrived at the office early as usual. He had everything perfectly prepared. When Adrian arrived, Leo greeted him, but there was no smile on his face. Adrian gave him a strange look. He thought Leo was still upset. He started to say something about yesterday. Leo cut him off. He said it was working hours. They should not discuss personal matters. Adrian swallowed his words and went inside. He soon discovered Leo was avoiding him. Leo still did his work perfectly, but he was cold and distant. He refused to smile at Adrian. He kept his eyes down during meetings. Adrian did not know what he had done, but he found Leo's moodiness interesting. He was not angry. Leo's work was still flawless. After a few days of this, Adrian called him in. Leo stood there silently. He radiated an aura of discontent. Adrian asked him what was wrong. Leo feigned ignorance. He said everything was fine. Adrian watched him for a moment. He told him to at least explain what he did. Leo's lips moved, but he said nothing. He was still in turmoil. How could Adrian act so innocent? He had almost crossed a line. He knew it would only confuse Leo more. Leo fell back on his professional excuse. He said they should not mix work and personal life. Adrian pointed out that Leo was the one doing it. Leo fell silent. He knew Adrian was right. He should not let his feelings affect his job. He had always been so good at it. This time he had lost his composure. This was why office romances were doomed. He took a deep breath. He told Adrian he needed to calm down. Adrian did not let him leave. He asked if Leo still had the contract. Leo froze at the question. He knew which contract Adrian meant. The memory of its contents made him dizzy. He had been so confident back then. He thought he could fool everyone. Now he realized how naive he had been. A wave of embarrassment washed over him. He mumbled that it was at home. Adrian nodded. He only said one thing: keep it safe. Leo thought of course he would. It would be a disaster if anyone saw it. He left the office, flustered. Adrian watched him go. He then walked to his safe. He opened it and took out a single sheet of paper. He sat back down at his desk. He looked at their love contract. Rereading it now filled him with a unique shame. He understood why Leo was embarrassed. He could not help but smile. He wondered what he had been thinking. He almost tore the paper up. That was his original intention. But he decided to wait. It would be better to destroy both copies together. Just then, there was a knock. He quickly put the contract in a drawer. He told the person to come in. It was Sam Collins. Sam sat on the sofa. He asked what they should do. He was talking about the struggling old divisions. The outdated production lines were a cash drain. They needed to either invest more or cut their losses. Adrian said he wanted to sell that entire part. Sam was shocked. He knew Adrian had a plan. He had not expected this. He stammered that it was a bad idea. The chairman would be furious. He had a sentimental attachment to the old company. Selling it would be seen as a betrayal. Adrian knew all of this. He had considered every angle. He said he only cared about one thing. He cared about his company's future success. Everyone had their own agenda. His was to make his company stronger. Sam understood Adrian's resolve. He said he would start preparations. They talked for a long time. They finalized the initial strategy. Sam then brought up another topic. He asked if there was any progress. Adrian did not understand. Sam clarified on the dating front. Adrian said nothing, just stared at him coldly. Sam knew things were not going well. He told Adrian to just go for it. Adrian ignored his advice. Sam then had a thought. He asked if Adrian was scared. Adrian denied it immediately, but Sam thought he was right. Adrian was decisive in business, but he was hesitant in love. Perhaps it was due to his past. The CEO needed a push. He told Adrian to take the first step. He could not know the outcome without trying. Adrian told him he sounded like a therapist. Sam just wished him luck and left. After Sam left, Adrian swiveled his chair. He looked out at the city. The door was knocked on again. It was Leo. Adrian asked if he had calmed down. Leo did not answer. He reported that Julian Croft's assistant had called. Mr. Croft wanted to schedule a meeting. It was to continue their previous discussion. The meeting was set at a shooting club. It was a place Adrian frequented. The choice of venue was deliberate. Julian knew Adrian very well. Julian had also insisted that Leo attend. Leo had to go with his boss. They arrived to find Julian already there. The man was as cold and sharp as ever. He was flanked by his own assistants. The two men put on protective vests. They stood before the shooting range. Julian looked at them both. He stated that they had been fighting. Leo was stunned. He had tried so hard to act professional. How could Julian see through it? Adrian was clearly annoyed. He told Julian's assistant a nonsensical story. Then he put on his safety gear. He told Julian to stop the small talk. Julian said they should have a competition. Adrian was intrigued. He asked about the terms. Julian said they would compete on score. Adrian agreed. Then Julian added the stakes. The winner buys Mr. Miller dinner. Leo was about to protest. Why was he a prize? But Adrian agreed before he could speak. He could not imagine losing to Julian. The two men began to shoot. They were both skilled marksmen. Their powerful forms radiated aggression. They were two predators fighting for territory. Leo watched, his heart pounding. During a break, Julian spoke. He said he knew Adrian's plan. He knew he wanted to sell the old divisions. Leo was shocked again. This was the first he was hearing of it. Adrian did not deny it. Julian said he would have done the same thing. It was a smart move to consolidate power. He then said he would not let Adrian succeed. Adrian replied that the enemy knows you best. The two men understood each other perfectly. Leo realized this was not a friendly outing. It was a declaration of war. As they prepared to resume, Leo stepped forward. He put on a bright smile. He said he was not interested in dinner with either. He suggested they try out for the Olympics. His interruption stopped both men. A small smile touched Adrian's lips. He beckoned Leo to his side. Leo reluctantly obeyed. Adrian stroked his hair. He said he had no intention of sharing him. He looked at Julian. His voice was cold with anger. He told him he had crossed a line. Leo was his. Any attempt to use him was a mistake. He was Julian. Julian said nothing. He just fired his weapon repeatedly. Adrian decided he was done with the games. He led Leo out of the club. As they left, Julian spoke again. He is not suited to be a secretary. Leo was deeply bothered by Julian's words. He remembered his early struggles in the job. He had doubted his own abilities then. He thought he had finally proven himself. Now, an outsider had dismissed his progress. Was Julian right? He was an astute businessman. Leo was also confused by Adrian. Why was he so good to him? Why had he almost kissed him? His mind was a mess. Before he could sort it out, a crisis erupted. Adrian submitted his proposal to sell the assets. Marcus Vance exploded with rage. He accused Adrian of breaking his promise. He forbade Adrian from proceeding. The company was thrown into chaos. Even Leo did not fully understand Adrian's move. It seemed needlessly provocative. But he was a secretary. He had to support his boss's decision. Marcus summoned Adrian to the headquarters. He also summoned Julian. The meeting was a brutal showdown. Marcus's faction accused Adrian of betrayal. Julian claimed Adrian was making a power grab. Adrian fought back against them all. He called their thinking outdated and sentimental. He accused Julian of wanting more control. The meeting room was a war zone. Leo sat beside Adrian, providing support. He was mentally exhausted by the end. Only Adrian remained calm and unreadable. He told Leo to go get some water. Leo felt a subtle warmth at the gesture. His changing feelings made him notice these things. Adrian was always quietly looking out for him. On his way out, he met Julian again. He decided to ask him directly. He wanted to know why he said that. Why was he not suited to be a secretary? Julian did not answer. He asked a question of his own. Don't you think Adrian and I are very similar? Leo was stunned. He had thought that many times. Julian told him to ask his own boss. He said Adrian had surely thought the same thing. Leo did not ask Adrian. His boss had enough to deal with. The stalemate continued for weeks. Time passed. The end of the year approached. Things were busy. Leo had no time for personal reflection. But at night, he would remember things. He would recall Adrian's unusual kindness. The company finally had a breakthrough. Adrian went to speak with his father alone. He laid out the situation bluntly. Do you want to leave the company to a Croft? Or will you give me a bigger share? He knew his father's weakness. He knew Marcus would ultimately side with his own son. They both carried the Vance name. He told him selling the divisions was necessary. It would reduce Julian's influence. Marcus finally relented. He was tired. He said Adrian had to find a suitable buyer first. The news was a huge relief. The executive team went out to celebrate. Adrian left the dinner party early. Leo felt a pull to go back to the office. He found Adrian sitting there in the dark. He asked Leo why he had come back. Leo just smiled. He said Adrian was back too. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Leo finally asked his question. Am I really not suited to be a secretary? Adrian did not answer right away. Leo's heart sank. But then Adrian explained. He told Leo it was a compliment. He had too much initiative to be just a secretary. He had a strong, independent mind. He deserved a bigger stage. Adrian recounted the first time he noticed Leo. It was years ago in another department. Leo had been complaining about inefficiencies. His words had echoed Adrian's own thoughts. That was why he had chosen him. He needed an ally who understood his vision. He told Leo he had done an excellent job. He had far exceeded his expectations. He said Julian was just trying to create discord. You are the person I chose. If I say you are qualified, you are. Leo finally smiled, a genuine, radiant smile. The weight in his heart lifted. A tender mood settled between them. Adrian wanted to push their relationship forward. He cleared his throat. About that contract we signed. Just as he spoke, his phone rang. The harsh sound shattered the moment. It was Marcus. Adrian answered. A furious roar came through the speaker. What is this nonsense you've been playing at? Get back here right now. Leo could hear the chairman's rage. He heard his own name mentioned. And bring that secretary of yours with you. Marcus hung up. Adrian's face was grim. He told Leo to go home. He would handle it. But Leo stood up. He said the chairman had mentioned him. He would go with Adrian. Adrian looked at him deeply. Leo smiled faintly. Besides, he said, you'll protect me, right? Adrian nodded. They left for the Vance estate together. Marcus was waiting for them, furious. He threw a stack of papers at Adrian. Pretending to be a couple to deceive me. It was not their contract. It was a detailed report. It analyzed their every move. It concluded their relationship was a fraud. It was from Julian.